Okay, hi guys, welcome back to our podcast, Scooby-Doo Studio. So before we start, we would like to introduce ourselves first. Hi, my name is Mas Aisha and this is Atika, Khadijah and Nakiba. So today we are going to talk about the economy inflation in Canada. So do you guys know anything about economy issue in Canada?
Yeah, I know some.
Oh, so you have something prepared, I see. So you may start, introducing the background issues or etc. So we would like to hear that.
So I will share with you the background of the Canada economy. So first, we will look at the demographic shock. Between 2021 and 2024, Canada experienced a huge population spike, accelerating to over 41.2 million people due to high immigration. From an economic standpoint, this sudden influx created a massive demand-side shock. The aggregate demand for food completely outpaced Canada's domestic supply capacity, immediately driving the food price up. And also, we will look at the market structure at the agri-food sector. This industry is huge. It contributing $140 billion to their GDP. However, Canada used a highly regulated supply management system with strict production quota and high import tariff on dairy and poultry to protect domestic farmers. And what made it worse, the retail market is a highly concentrated oligopoly where just 5 supermarket conglomerates control over 75% on the national grocery market share. Because there is zero perfect competition, this extreme market saturation creates structural vulnerability. Finally, we will look at the macroeconomic landscape at the bottom graph. Post-pandemic consumer spending caused the market to overheat, jacking inflation up to a 40-year high of 8.1% in 2022. To combat this, the Bank of Canada used an aggressive monetary policy, raising the benchmark interest rate from 0.25% all the way to 5% to cool down aggregate demand. But even as headline inflation slowed down, retail food price remains stubbornly high, eroding household disposable income nationwide. So that's all the background for the Canada's economy.
Wow, that is totally absurd. I didn't know that it was that critical. I can totally relate to that situation because like recently I was walking down the supermarket aisles to grab my my groceries, and then once I reached the checkout, I was like $5,000, and the prices is like so much different than last month, and I feel like wow, inflation is really crazy. So like we've heard the news about inflation, right? Where our supplies are broken, where food prices are up, and the transportation costs just like went up. This cost we have to bear it. Then the supermarket have to increase their prices. So I was wondering, is there any way that we could avoid this stuff? Because like, does this happen everywhere, or does it just happen at that certain place, which is supermarket? So like there are different type of market, right? Like the big corporation one and like small businesses, like farmers market and giant. And based on this research I've done, it is very obvious how different the supermarket are charging us. Because I was wondering if there are any way that we could avoid this stuff, or like I was also wondering if this only happen at certain places, because there are different type of market, which is small business and the big corporation. So I've collected some data from this data set where it reveals a massive gap in how different retail models handle this economic pressure, which is inflation. And honestly, the result is crazy difference. So let's talk about the fruit price dynamic between 2018 and 2023. So in the data set that I've shown in the magazine, it shows how potato prices in supermarket are increases into 7.12%, but at local farmers market it's only 4.70%, which is a huge difference. And the core reasons comes to two things, which is community accountability and embeddedness. So big corporations like that main supermarket, they're all about profit. And sometimes they use these economy issues to, increases their price so that put the entire cost to our wallet. So instead of passing every single input cost onto the consumer, local markets, they absorb the financial blow. Therefore, by supporting alternative local food networks, we aren't just saving few cents, but we are also investing in a system that actually protect us from these big corporations. So, what do you think? Do you guys have noticed any prices increase in your hometown?
Yes, of course.
Yes,
We have before.
we have seen it actually.
So actually, this issue have a lot of causes and effects. The first cause is supply chain disruption. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many food factories in Canada had to close for some time, and transportation was also delayed. Because of this, there was less food available, but people still need to buy it. So food prices went up. Second cause is climate change. For example, drought in the Canadian prairie province could reduce crop production and affected livestock farming. When there is less food produced, prices naturally become higher, especially for products like beef. Another cause is rising fuel costs. Fuel is needed to grow food, process it, and transport it to supermarket. So when fuel prices increase, the cost of producing and delivering food also increase. In the end, consumers have to pay more for groceries. Now let's move on to effects. One major effect is the higher cost of living. Many Canadian families now spend more money on groceries, so they have less money for other important needs. Another effect is food insecurity. This means that some Canadians can afford enough healthy and nutritious food. Because food is more expensive, some families buy less food and even skip meals.
Oh, there is so many causes and effects that what is to say.
That's really long.
But actually, there's always a solution.
Really?
Yeah.
So the Canada provides a solution.
Yes.
Interesting.
So one of the solution they do, the Canada use fiscal policy by introducing Canada groceries and essential benefit. That actually gives a 25% boost in financial aid for the lower income families. And also, on top of that, they also put $1 billion to cut the grocery costs while keeping the basic food item for taxes free. For taxes free. But on the other hand, for monetary policy, the Bank Canada has hit the wall. Even though they kept the interest rate at 2.25%, and they managed to bring the core inflation down to 2%, but the food is still super high, Why bank mention this? Because this is because of the external supply shock that they just can't control it. This thing, for example, like geopolitical conflict, driving up oil prices, severe local drought, and also tariff threats.
So I guess the Canada's government is not that bad at all. So I guess this concludes all of our podcast for today.
Wait.
Do you have something?
There's something
to
more.
add?
I can make the conclusion from what we share today.
Oh,
So, alright guys, to wrap everything up, we can conclude that Canada grocery crisis comes down to one main villain, greedflation. Even though general inflation is going down, these giant supermarket monopolies are using it as an excuse to keep price sky high just to make record-breaking corporate profits. The one hitting the hardest are student and low-income families, who are literally spending a quarter of their income on food. And even though some of them are forced to skip their meals for their daily life, thankfully, local farmers markets are stepping up to protect consumers with lower price, while the government is trying to help by cutting taxes on basic groceries and funding school lunch program. Hopefully, with more support from local alternatives, Canadians can get their wallets back to normal. And that brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you so